Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Well, I was right again, and that is the Russians and the Americans had numerous contacts between the scenes in Switzerland. So I've said this many, many times before. This is ABC in diplomacy, and that is we're gonna give you the information to the baboons in the media operatives to give the rest, but we're gonna meet behind the scenes. We're gonna communicate. As I said, the Russians and the Americans had open channels of communication behind the scenes during this garbage in Ukraine. I have here an article from New Voice of Ukraine. That's the first one. I have 4 topics. Second one, we have a envoy, an American envoy, a guy, a U.S. envoy. His name is Witkoff, whatever his name is, Vogel, Witkoff, Steve Witkoff, and he's Jewish. He said that he befriended Putin during his Moscow visit. Well, these people, if they get kicked out of the country through the door, they try to get back in through the window. I will explain that one. The third one, we have the United Kingdom's foreign minister, a average Joe at best, let's put it this way, and he says that no real Russian appetite for peace with Ukraine, and the United Kingdom's foreign minister will bring evidence to support his claim, because in the Western civilization, that's what we do. Now, in other civilizations, you don't have to. You just say, I know, God told me this and we're good. Or I know the chicken bones fell down and say, okay, this is the future. I think it's a good day to hunt today. So we have here Mr. United Kingdom, Western civilization foreign minister telling us why Russia has no real appetite for peace. He's going to bring you all the arguments. And the third topic that I have today, we have the British defense minister. I suspect he is also a likens Zelensky to Churchill after Trump's remarks. So Trump says that this guy is a dictator and so on, and this British defense minister, he just wakes up, not with a hard on, he's old, oh, my bad, and he comes and says, you know what, Zelensky is like Churchill. Right? Now, yes, he's like Churchill, but for the wrong reasons that I will give you. I will reveal to you what the wrong reasons are, what Zelensky looks like, or in what terms he looks like Churchill. Here, this is the first topic coming from New Voice of Ukraine, February 21st, 2025. Shadow diplomacy. US-Russia secretly meet in Switzerland for months. No shit, like we didn't know that. We did know that. US and Russian participants have met secretly in Switzerland several times in recent months, including last week, to discuss Russia's war on Ukraine. Reuters reported on February 21st, citing sources with knowledge of the matter. Now, do you think Reuters did not know that before, prior to this? I think they knew. They were just given, hey, shh, shh. Remember, and if you don't remember, I tell you, when the United States of America was secretly bombing Laos and Cambodia. Remember that one? So they were bombing Vietnam with napalm, okay? And then they started, shush, hush, hush, bombing 2 other independent sovereign countries of Cambodia and Laos. The mass media, I can remember which one it was, I think on New York Times or something, I can remember what, but you can find it on online still. They said, well, called the White House and said we're about to break the news about this one, and the White House says stop, you do it tomorrow. Why? Or the next day after we have a press conference and we declare it. So they told the guys in America, free media, to shush. All right. I think it was for 24 hours or something, and the United States government showed up and said, yeah, we have to declare that we started bombing Laos and Cambodia. And then the New York Times or whatever, they were allowed to run their garbage, their mouths. So this is the free media, the free world, the free countries. You didn't know that? Well, I did for a long time. So there you go it again. I suspect Reuters knew about this, and not only Reuters. Why? I told you, ABC. This is ABC 1, 2, 3, foundational information. The talks are described as a side channel of communication during the transition period following President Donald Trump election victory. While the participants have diplomatic and security experience, they are not government officials, and it is not clear whether they were sent by their government. Two of the sources says declined to identify the attendees. Now, I remember when Lavrov was asked by, I can't remember by whom was asked, I think it was by Tucker, if he had contacts. Oh no, that was when he was asked who told him certain, he said many, I don't want to ruin their careers. And again, Lavrov, I think, stated that we are in contact. There were contacts, but they can't tell you how and where. Now, next topic. This guy, who's Jewish, but he somehow was in Riyadh, in the Russia, United States America's negotiation team. He was part of it. I suspect this guy could be the next Secretary of State. He's going to cut Rubio's legs just like that. I suspect. Now he's telling us that why he was assigned as a U.S. envoy to Moscow to release one, I suspect, a teacher, American teacher in Russia. He was released, and this guy negotiated with the Russians. Well, it's great, and I always remember when after the First World War there was the armistice, right, and the Trianon, and then over there it was the Clemenceau, I think it was named, the president of France. And it was Clemenceau, it was Woodrow Wilson, and so on. So in this case it was Clemenceau, and so Woodrow Wilson's, the American president's delegation, walking in the room, and he said, I think in his memoirs, I think according to David Irving, okay, he said, I couldn't believe who are these guys coming as the U.S. delegations? Are these the Americans? Can you guess who the guys were? I'm going to give you a hint. Why don't you look into Nuremberg trials in 1946 and so on, or 48, what was it? I think, and then you're going to find out who were part of the one of or two of the American prosecutors, the same. Anyway, so here you have sent this emissary from the United States of America to Russia, and he befriended Putin. So now it's acceptable to befriend him or something? Well, I will tell you another story. So here it is. Witkoff made a remark during an investment forum in Miami, where he discussed the recent trip to Moscow, and I'm quoting, I spent a lot of time with Putin in sauna and all that. I talked with him and developed a friendship and relationship. So believe me. Now let me tell you how people sometimes we interpret things. When Harry Truman, that I would call him war criminal because he dropped 2 atomic bombs on 2 civilian cities, Nagasaki, Hiroshima and Nagasaki, he said after he met, I think he wrote in his memoirs if I remember correctly, if he had any, he said that after he met Joseph Stalin, the Gruzian, the Georgian dictator of the communist Soviet Union, he said, well, I think I made a good impression on Stalin. And then Stalin, in his circles, thought that this guy, what's his name, Truman, was, these are the words, worthless. So I think I impressed Stalin. And Stalin was, he's worthless. Why like this? Because I think it's the right hand. He was crippled of his right hand. He couldn't extend it because he had an accident. A cart, when he was a child, went over it, and he couldn't. When you see Stalin, always his hand is in here or is not fully extended for that reason. So can we guess that the patriarchy and the people with abilities have a little problem? We can't go that far. So enough with the stories. Next one, let's see this baboon. New voice of Ukraine. UK foreign minister, no real Russian appetite for peace with Ukraine. So this guy right there, Jesus Christ. So this guy, your guy, the British guy, he says that no, he says no real appetite. Now, in my civilization and yours, I'm guessing, when you make a statement, you back it up, you support it with evidence, things that could be verifiable. No, like you say, okay, outside is the daylight, and some people, how do you prove that? And you start making your case. You can see the shadow, you can see this, you can make all kind of arguments that could be verifiable and truthful. Now let's see what this guy from our civilization, his arguments to his claims. Now, if you can't or if you don't back up your statements, your accusations, or however you want to say, your statements in this case, your claims, that means they're not truthful. Or if not truthful, I have all the right in the world to regard them as baboonish, as lies. If I want, I can be skeptical how much I want. So let's see the arguments of this baboon. So this is the Secretary of Great Britain, British Foreign Secretary David Lammy. He's lame. British Foreign Secretary David Lammy expressed skepticism about Russia's willingness to negotiate peace with Ukraine in comments to Reuters on February 20th, after closed-door meeting of top G20 diplomats in South Africa, including Lavrov, which included a Russian delegation. And I'm quoting, this is what he says: "We have not got anywhere near a negotiated settlement." He said, after asked if Britain would under any circumstance support sending peacekeepers to Ukraine without security guarantees from the United States. And I'm quoting this guy. And I have to say, when I listen to what the Russians and what Lavrov has just said in the chamber this afternoon, I don't see an appetite to really get to the peace. What did he say? Okay, that's your interpretation, correct? Let me stress the importance, and that's it. Right there. That's the end of the article, my man. So he said that he didn't see that by looking at Lavrov. Okay, now make your point. Oh, you tell me it's confidential now? Well, I don't believe you squat. Next one. And the last topic, the British Defense Minister likens Zelenskyy to Churchill after Trump's remarks. Yes, and I will tell you about Churchill and I will tell you about Zelenskyy. So this British guy, his name is John Haley, disagreed with U.S. President Donald Trump comments calling Ukraine President Zelenskyy a dictator over election claims. And he says this is a man, according to this guy, Zelenskyy is a man who devoted to his country, led his country and still leads it to what? He started something, he didn't like the, let me educate this, and this is the defense minister, right? Isn't he? Yeah. So let me educate this guy. Zelenskyy said that he won the elections in Ukraine on a peace platform. He said, I'm going to make peace with Russia. And that's what probably going to make it. But after, I don't know how many millions of Ukrainians died. And then he said, after he got elected, I don't like anything about the Minsk agreements. You know, the Minsk agreements became international law, and they were supposed to be guaranteed, that they will talk and they will have peace between Russia and Ukraine by the German governments and the French governments. So he said, I don't like anything about this. And what happened then? Well, the Russians reattacked, okay? So they stalled and he destroyed it. I think he just sabotaged the whole thing. Remember, Merkel in her interview said, well, we never had any intention to implement the international law, the Minsk agreement in 2015, the second one, where they were the guarantors. We just were arming Ukraine. The same thing, Mr. Hollande, the guy who did that, he said, we never had, the president of France at that time, he said, we didn't care, no, we didn't mean to implement it whatsoever. Then Poroshenko, the then president of Ukraine, said the same thing. No, we didn't mean it. We fooled the Russians, woo-hoo-hoo, and then we tell the Russians are bad. Correct? Correct. So, okay, now, so he's a good guy, according to this guy. And he's talking about Churchill. He was elected. He is elected leader of Ukraine, and he did what Winston Churchill did in Great Britain during World War II, suspended elections during the war. Our task is to stand with Ukrainians, not with Zelenskyy. If you say that, you eliminate Zelenskyy. So, his argument is that Winston Churchill, let me show you, because Winston Churchill did something that will make this guy great, I guess. Well, let me tell you about Winston Churchill. Winston Churchill, I would like to look over his memoirs, and you're going to find out what he thought about and who was behind him. One of the best books I read was David Irving's Churchill's War. And you're going to find out over there who gave Churchill what. Now, the Great Britain, I have to let you know, they got in a war with Germany to save Poland from the Germans, but then they sold Poland to the evil Soviets, to Stalin. So this is Churchill. When Great Britain won the war against the Germans, your country was bankrupt. So I think that's a similarity between Churchill and Zelensky at that point. Now, remember, if someone does something, it doesn't mean that if you copy that is good. Why didn't, what's his name, say, okay, Churchill was a baboon, because the Americans were also fighting two wars, with the Japanese and the Germans in Europe. So then we got what? We got the Americans held elections, Churchill didn't. So Churchill is more of a tyrant than the Americans. So there you have it. So when you liken these guys, please, please, please. Now, if you want to know about Mr. Churchill, read about Churchill's Tripoli adventure. He was a general, he was an admiral, whatever he was, he fucked up. That's what he did. Go and see. Remember when it was the Dunkirk debacle, and Adolf said, let them 48 hours to, save their expeditionary corps. Remember Dunkirk, the movie, we did it, and yes. Do you remember Churchill's order? The Churchill's order was advance to the coast. Not retreat, run away, advance to the coast. So basically retreat to the coast. So he was double speaking right then. So Orwell probably got it from him in his novel in 1948. The novel 1984. It was written and published in 48, and the title is 1984. So here you have, my friends. Yes, he is like Churchill. He ruined the country's economy. He got the country in a war. He got the war going with the Germans. He could have stopped. The Germans sent many emissaries, including Mr. Rudolf Hess when he landed, hard landed. Do you remember Rudolf Hess? The guy who said, "Ich bereue nicht," I regret nothing. You know, in Nuremberg trials, he was right over there, and an American was watching him over there. He said, "I bereue nicht," I regret nothing. Go and watch that one. Very revealing. Talking about the guy, we can say the name, the most evil. What did he do? So this confidant of Putin, of Adolf, who actually wrote with the dictation of Hitler's Mein Kampf, right? Remember that? While he was in prison? Yeah, Rudolf Hess did it. So when Rudolf Hess was sent, he took it. They say, we don't know if Adolf sent him. They say he didn't know. He took a plane. Rudolf Hess was a good pilot. He took the plane out of Germany, flew over the English Channel, and then he landed. No, he didn't land. He parachuted himself in Great Britain. You know how he did it? He did like this. He turned around and he let him slide off while he was flying. That's how he parachuted himself. Because you couldn't just fly and jump in the same time. You could have hit by the back shed of the airplane. So he just took his harness off, and boom. Now, he wanted to get in touch with the Lord over there, if I remember correctly, to discuss, hey man, in your country, there are people over there who hold your government hostage. Who was that? Churchill and his backers. And then he didn't get to talk tried to use the back channels to tell these guys, do something. He didn't get to the Lord because he was caught by a peasant, and then he was arrested and imprisoned and kept over there. And then he was given life in prison in Spandau prison in Germany. And then he was, by whom? I know that too, my friends. He couldn't do it. Someone else did it. They sealed the casket of what's his name, Rudolf Hess, and then they told the family, if you want Rudolf Hess' body, you don't unseal the casket. And the family says, jawohl, and they gave the casket. The family took the casket with the body to their coroner, whatever it's called, and they did another autopsy, and they figured out he was from behind strangled. By whom? We don't know, right? My friends, I know so much shit about this garbage. So yeah, Churchill. We're gonna find on the ground, we'll find on the beaches, we're on the landing ground, and we will never surrender. You guys go and fight. Will give me the whiskey. You remember when Churchill was showing up in the bombed, in not Coventry, but London? He was showing that famous picture with him over there looking, damaged London with a V1, V2 rockets sent by the Germans. Do you know where his bunker was? Churchill, it was outside London. And like 15 kilometers outside, we'll find on the ground, we'll find on the... Fuck off. So yeah, that's exactly Zelensky. Thank you very much for being with me again today. I can tell you stories, man. I know about this shit. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.